So, in this video, we'll be talking about emotional stability. Emotional stability is the fourth trait in your report that talks about certain aspects of your emotions which you need to channelize. Now, emotional stability also forms one of the important traits in the Big Five factor model. If you see on the screen, there are 5 factors globally accepted which defines your personality. One of the important factors is neuroticism. In simple words, this is called emotional stability. Why is emotional stability necessary? Because if you find emotions play a vital role in decision making, in making sure that you are able to attain a certain state of success or performance efficiency. Emotions are very vital to each and every action of humans. Nowadays, we are finding people are getting into a state of mood disorders or mood swings in simple terms which they are not able to control or channelize. In that context, emotionally stable individuals are more proficient in their actions and the effectiveness that they bring to the table while they are able to channelize their emotions is critical. While we see in the context of workplaces, emotional stability helps you to channelize your not only relationships but your actions towards your work as well. In doing so, let us understand a simple mechanism, what happens if you are not emotionally stable and what happens you go into the state of influence of emotions which are overpowering, how it affects your cognitive faculty of decision making. So on the screen, if you see, the brain, which is usually has got 2 important aspects. The outer part of the brain, which usually we call cortex, is a thinking brain. And the middle of the brain that you see is called as the amygdala or limbic system, which is the emotional brain, the midbrain. When we receive stimulus from our environment through our senses, it passes through the sensory organs. These inputs, the data, the information is relayed to the thinking brain, and a part of information is also relayed to a limbic system, the emotional brain. Usually the response is thoughtful. You usually respond with a lot of thinking and a part of emotional input into it. Your response is thoughtful. Consider a situation where your emotions are overpowering, like fear, like anger, like happiness, whichever they are. In that overpowered emotions, a lot of your information is pulled away by the limbic system or the emotional brain towards itself. A very little portion goes to the thinking brain. In that scenario, your response is more emotional. Now think of a situation where you are under influence of anger or you are under influence of fear. How would be your reaction? Your reaction would be more dramatic or emotional. It is undoubtedly said that if you curse in anger or promise in happiness, you may end up losing most of the things. Do not curse in anger. Do not promise in happiness is what wise men say. Similarly, while under the influence of emotions, you must be able to not react disproportionately. So, while you are getting inputs from your environment regarding certain things, you need to be balanced in your emotions. This simple thing is called as emotional stability. Emotional stability leads you to more better decision making, more better understanding of the scenario and the environment, and your response or your behavior is more balanced and more focused. Emotional stability also deals with impulsivity. If you see, normally while going through the teenage towards the adulthood, your impulse control is developed. Now this impulse control is a normal psychobiological phenomena. While you develop this impulse control, you attain a state where you are able to contain all your impulses and channelize your desires and ambitions towards the right goal. While you lose on these impulses, while you act on the impulses, people tend to call you as impulsive. And under the influence of impulses, you tend to act, which consequentially is disastrous. What do you want to do? Do you want to be in a league of people which are like kind of, we say, whimsical, we say in a state of mind which is under not their control? Or do you want to be in the league of people who can direct their emotions in a better way? Definitely. You would want to be in the league of second type of people that is mentioned. In that context, containing your impulses, channelizing your emotions becomes the key here. As I said earlier, you must be able to look into yourself and understand the emotions first. In that context, for example, if you know that no part of emotions is bad, every emotion has to do something to be able to contain or maintain your life. In that context, every emotion is vital. So for example, anger, it is necessary, it is required, but you must be able to contain the emotion, not let it go out of proportion. And be also be able to demonstrate your anger in the situation where it is needed. It is said you don't have to be laughing at funerals and crying at birthdays. The reason is your emotions should be apt. You should be having fun and enjoyment during birthdays and maybe expressing sadness or grief in the funerals. This is the proportionate expression of your emotions. In the workplaces, if you find, workplaces also demand such kind of proportional emotional responses. They will expect you to be able to balance your emotions and exhibit a kind of balance in your personality. In that context, you cannot express anger which is disproportionate with your subordinates or maybe with your bosses. Similarly, with your peers, when you are into a professional setting, you may not disproportionately get into a state of which is not conducive or adapted to the environment. In that context, channelization of emotions becomes the core. I'll tell you, everybody goes through a state of emotional hijack. Emotional hijack is where your emotions overpower and the decision or the expression that comes out in the form of response is more guided through your emotions. In that context, do not let that happen. Channelize your emotions and make sure that you're regularizing your thought patterns. To do that, let us do an exercise while we find ourselves in a better state. I would express and encourage everybody to at least practice some kind of mindfulness techniques throughout your days and weeks of the month. Mindfulness is one such method through which you'll be able to know and channelize your emotions. The simple methods of mindfulness will be relating to concentrating on your breath for some part of your time in a day, sitting in a relaxed posture, letting you feel the aspect of breath that is coming in and going out, and while you concentrate on your breath, let the thought chain go along with the emotions that are coming to you. This will take some time to settle. Once you start practicing this for some time, for example, until you reach a state of mind where you are effortlessly able to practice the state of awareness that I'm just mentioning you'll be able to see that you have more control over your emotions. When you exhibit this control, you will find that whatever ambitions and goals and aspirations you harbor in your mind, they'll be more clearer to you. They'll not be clouded by your emotional or maybe the vagueness of your thought. In that context, practicing mindfulness will be an effective way of doing it. I would see there are various means and methods of practicing mindfulness. The best thing is while you go to bed at the end of the day every night. Before you sleep, spend 2 minutes with yourself, reflecting upon your breath. Sit in a posture which is more comfortable, maybe on your bed, maybe on sofa, maybe on a chair. Keep everything aside and focus on your breath. While you inhale and while you exhale, do this exercise for 2 minutes. Let not stop the thoughts, let not stop the emotions, they'll come and go. It is like the exercise that we do in a gymnasium or when you go on a ground. Sit in a position which is more comfortable to you. Just focus on the breath. Inhale and exhale. Do not do anything. Being with yourself is the only thing that you need to focus on. While you do these things, most of the emotions will turn up and go away. Let your mind wander. Let it go everywhere and anywhere that it wants to go. Your just exercise is to pull it back and let it come to the present, that where you are sitting. While you do that, this exercise will take some time to be adopted by you. It will take a week or 2 weeks period. Once you do that, when you achieve a state of mind where you are more comfortable in being at the present in the seat where you are, you will be seeing a dramatic change in your emotional responses, in the way you are responding to certain aspects of your peers or people around you. This is the crux. You maintain this emotional stability for a certain period of time, this will develop as an habit. And habit will be reflected in your behavior. What is our behavior? Our behavior is the aggregation of habits that we cultivate in our being. Cultivate good habits, cultivate habits that are more adaptive to your environment. Once you do that, you will find you'll be able to reflect a balanced state of emotions and thought. Mind you, friends, the scores mentioned in your cards, in your report cards right now after this assessment will reflect the exact state of your emotional stability. Help yourself with self-help guide into it. Maintain the state of emotional stability if you have already achieved this good score, and ask for help from your mentors. The critical point in this decade is we have been focusing on our physical health for long. For 2 decades from now, we have been able to focus excessively on how to maintain our physical health. We are still miles apart to get to that destination. But one more challenge has propped up, and this challenge has gradually been seeping into our entire being. The challenge of not able to find emotional well-being. And emotional well-being will only be the talking point for the next decade. The Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations focuses on well-being, the third goal. This goal is more important from the perspective of individual development, and one of the larger components of this goal is your emotional well-being. We must always ponder upon a thought that if you are emotionally happy, if you're feeling good about yourself, you're feeling good about your environment, you'll lead to a state of abundance in yourself, which is devoid of your mental scarcity, a state of complaining, a state of always giving reasons for not doing things. Find one reason that propels you to do things. In that context, mindfulness will help you to do that. So, I wish you all the luck in practicing mindfulness from now onwards. For more insights into this, you may definitely get in contact with our team to understand the benefits of mindfulness and detailed understanding of how to practice the procedure. For now, we'll hop on to the next aspect of trait that is mentioned in your report, and for that we must close on this trait. I hope emotional stability shall come to you and you'll be able to practice it more efficiently in your coming days. Thank you.